Hello everyone, for today I had a test video planned, but I have to talk about this. CRT is now showing the new cargo handling at Outpost and there are some very serious issues. 2.5 years ago I made a video talking about my concerns regarding security because CRT said this.
I think the bigger question is, how are you going to protect your ship and your cargo that's being loaded and unloaded on your ship?
I am totally fine being responsible for my ship and my cargo, but if I am responsible, I need keys or biometric locks. We have none in the year 12. Everyone who makes it onto the pilot seat of your ship has full control over your ship. There are lots of ways how to clip into any ship with an interior. The ability to secure my cargo, to throw a weapon, if needed, shoot a thief. Something we cannot do in an armistice zone. We don't even have police forces or security forces in Star Citizen in year 12, except the brain-dead and annoying AI scanning our ships for contrabands. And the good old, bring some friends, join an org. Even if I would do this, do you think everyone in my org would happily stand guard at my ship while I do the loading? More and more MMOs nowadays make content for solo players too, because grouping up is getting less and less common. And even if I bring someone, we cannot throw our gun in armistice zones anyway, so what's the point? The only thing I could do is, someone has to sit on the pilot seat while I do the loading. Even then, other people can sneak onto your ship. And who is willing to do this? Who is willing to sit on the pilot seat of my ship while I do the loading for like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes? No. This thread was started by Assault Lemming, cargo loading at outposts. Outposts do not have automatic loading unloading, cities and space stations do. After you made your purchase, you walk out to the freight elevator, use the kiosk and select which cargo items you want moved onto the elevator and brought up. You must then leave the elevator doors open and your ship and manually move the goods in and out of your ship. While the location I was at was an armistice zone, presumably anyone could use a tractor beam to take your stuff, sneak onto your ship and so on. Absolutely no protection now for any cargo loading, unloading at outposts, as it's now all physicalized. I am really out of words. We have a $700 million project in year 12 and CRT once again gives us the lowest effort tier 0 first iteration. What about security crests? What about police forces? What about military? I cannot even draw my gun. How am I supposed to secure my cargo? Everyone can just come over and steal my cargo and my ship? I cannot even lock my ship. Okay, this game is really getting worse and worse. CIG spent 0 thoughts on cargo handling at outposts. What really concerns me, CIG is always so naive when it comes to griefing. I am sure at least some CIG employees are playing other games online too. See for example Medical Griefing back in the days, where players tracked other players even in space stations. And see Pyrotech Demo, where people were camping the habitation areas in the Pyro space station and spawn killed everyone who came in for hours and hours. But fear not, CIG has the solution to any griefing.
You know, you have the option not to. I understand the thing lets you, but it's a choice to do and a choice not to. Every one of us are capable of making those choices.
Are you serious?
In addition, right now it takes 1 hour to load a Freelancer Max automatically, which is only possible in cities and space stations, not at outposts. Yes, first iteration, it's an Evocati patch, but does anyone really think this time will go down to more reasonable 2 to 5 minutes? No, of course not, because time sinks are great fun. Chris thinks the more time sinks, the more tedious and boring the gameplay is, the more players will love the game. And let's talk about manually loading, unloading. We are using the magical handheld tractor beam where we can move containers with masses exceeding 100 tons without any effort, because CRT has nothing else in year 12. More than 7 years ago, Chris and Tony Suborek talked about loading and unloading.
Steve Apollyon asks, are there any plans on cargo loading of the bigger ships such as the whole series of ships, and is the loading at a space station or even planetary going to be automatic, or will we have specialized small cargo loading ships similar to Argo to load manually if we choose to, similar to the Argo?
Yeah, we have talked about the fact that we don't want the larger ships to basically just, park it, click the button, and it's done. That these larger ships that have vast quantities of materials would actually take a significant period of time to unload and may result in missions for NPCs and or other players to actually undertake. We've actually got a pretty comprehensive design right now, but we're still iterating through that because we actually want to unify some of the functionality for loading and unloading.
Like if I have a big container ship and I pull into the port of LA here at Long Beach, there's a whole setup. There's longshoremen, big cranes, and there's service, and the crew of the container ship don't actually unload the containers themselves. There's equipment that does it, and there's people that are paid to do that. And I would say that in general, in sort of the bigger sort of spaceports, you would have that same kind of setup where you would have the ability to unload the bigger ships, unload the containers. Potentially, we've talked about having the ability for players to sort of play the part of a longshoreman if they're running around in a Largo and taking off a container from a Hully and dropping it to another place and doing that, or having AI do that. And then there obviously will be cases where, which is probably a later question we have here, but there'll be manual unloading and loading of cargo where you don't have the sort of big services, like if I just had a ship and I was off the coast somewhere and there wasn't a port, then obviously I would have to be doing it myself. And so I think we've been looking at ways that you have the sort of automatic option that's the services provided.
Automatic option when appropriate, but the fidelity so that on these smaller ships you can actually, and this makes for much more interesting gameplay in a lot of times, in a lot of different cases, because you can imagine scenarios to where you need to deliver a smaller quantity, a half dozen, a dozen, specific crates of some sort of, illegal liquor or something to somebody at a planet.
I think so the answer is there will be services, but we'll also have some specialized ships and equipment for unloading cargo.
Where are the machines helping with loading? Where are NPCs, Chris and Tony? I thought you had a pretty comprehensive design right now, 7 years ago. No, you didn't. You had nothing 7 years ago, you still have nothing, besides the magical handheld tractor beam. If it takes 1 hour to load a 120 SCU of a Freelancer Max automatically, how long does it take to unload a Hull C, a Hull D, a Hull E, a Hercules C2 automatically? Are we talking about half a day? Are we talking about more than 24 hours? Star Citizen, the best screenshot and waiting simulator ever. I've never seen any other huge project that is managed so badly and gives us one lowest effort tier 0 after the other. And for those who say it's a tier 0, CRT will improve it later, well, we have dozens of low effort, terrible tier 0 first iterations in Star Citizen that CRT never improved, never worked on for many, many years. So this time it should be different. Let me know what you think in the comments below and see you next time. Bye. Auf Wiedersehen. Hey, you're still here. You might want to join me on Twitter. My Twitter account is Camural_SC.